The dominant origin story has a hole in it. A quiet hole. One most of us were taught to walk past without looking down. Here's the hole. Something had to be there to explode. A big bang requires something that banged, and nothing in physics explains where that something came from. No mechanism, no origin story for the origin story. Just an asterisk with a footnote that says, "We'll figure it out later." Every atheist who's thought about this long enough has to dance around it. Usually very carefully, because the alternative is uncomfortable. This isn't a channel about settling science. It's about recovering the ancient lens so the text can speak on its own terms. Stick with me. It's more interesting than you think. Look at what we actually have. Physical constants tuned to absurd precision. Laws of nature that produce stable matter, stars, planets, chemistry, cells, consciousness. The story we're told is that all of this came from randomness. Shake the universe long enough and order falls out. The only godless cosmology that holds up under scrutiny is this: the universe has always existed. No beginning to explain, no prior cause required. That's a defensible position. It just moves the mystery back one step and refuses to answer it. Infinity instead of a creator. Which is, and this matters, the exact same move theists make about God. An uncaused cause, a necessary being, something that just is, with no further explanation. Both camps end up at the same place. Something had to be eternal. The only real disagreement is whether that something is personal or not. So the playing field is level. And if it's level, the next question is fair game. What if someone in the ancient world saw this same puzzle and wrote a different answer? Not a worse one, a different one. Genesis 1 was not written by modern scientists. It was written by, and for, people who lived inside a very different cosmos. Dome overhead, waters above, waters below, an earth sitting on pillars. This is what the world actually looked like to them. Not metaphor, not allegory, not a teaching device for children. The actual shape of the universe as they understood it, every day from the moment they woke up to the moment they fell asleep under a ceiling they believed was solid. And Genesis wasn't alone in describing it this way. The Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation account, the Ugaritic texts from coastal Syria, Egyptian cosmology. All of them describe roughly the same cosmos. Genesis is in conversation with its neighbors, not inventing out of thin air. Same shared mental model, different theology. What the original audience would have understood when they heard these words was nothing like what we picture today. They weren't reading science badly. They were reading a very different text, in a very different cosmos, with very different assumptions about how the world worked. Picture it. A solid sky, waters held back above, an earth anchored in place, heavens literally over your head. Close enough in their mind that a tall enough tower could reach them. This isn't a metaphor they invented to make a point. This is what they saw. The cosmos they move through every day. The one Genesis 1 assumes, uses, and builds on. Here's where it gets interesting. Because once you hold this ancient cosmos in your mind, something strange happens when you read Day 1, in Robert Alter's translation. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Simple, familiar, we've heard it 1,000 times. But notice what's missing. Here's the thing most readings skip. The sun doesn't appear until Day 4. The moon doesn't appear until Day 4. The stars don't appear until Day 4. Genesis 1:3 puts light 3 days before the things that give us light. Most readings quietly skip past that. Not this one. So what if light on Day 1 isn't illumination? What if it's the electromagnetic spectrum itself? More broadly, the foundational laws of physics, the framework within which anything else can exist. Day 1 doesn't create the things we see. Day 1 creates the rules that let things be seen, the laws, the constants, the underlying order. Once the laws of physics exist, the celestial bodies can be, for lack of a better word, programmed to move the way they do. Day 1 sets the rules. Day 4 puts the pieces on the board. Meaning comes first. Matter comes second. So here are the two origin stories on the table. 1. A random explosion produced perfect order out of nothing, for no reason, with no author, with no prior cause anyone can explain. 2. A personal God set up laws of physics that enable a programmed, purposeful cosmos, with a reason, for a reason, with a place for you in it, which takes fewer logical leaps, which gives you a coherent universe, which gives humans a place to stand, something to live for that isn't keep busy until entropy wins. Those are the questions the text pushes onto the table. It doesn't answer them for you. But the ancients answered, and their answer is worth hearing, not because they were necessarily right, but because they weren't fools. Through this lens, the ancient author of Genesis 1 wasn't writing bad physics. They were writing meaning into being, a personal God, a purpose for the earth, a place for humanity. A personal God with a purpose for the earth and mankind makes more sense than a random explosion producing perfect order. Next week, Genesis 2:7, Adam from the dust. Different text, same approach. If this reframed how you read the first page of the Bible, subscribe, leave a comment. See you in the next one. Ancient wisdom, modern clarity.